All right. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone, depending on where you are. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Vanja. Some of you may know me as I occasionally support MuesliSwap. It is a great honor for me to host today's Twitter space and celebrate the first year of Cardano DeFi. Soon, I will be passing on to today's moderator, which is Rick McCracken, also known as Tacos. He's an absolute legend in this Cardano and crypto in general Twitter space. But first, I would just like to briefly introduce the guests and the structure today of the Twitter space. So basically, the focus of this space will be the DeFi development in the past year, but also in the coming year on Cardano. We have some absolutely incredible guests with us today. In order of appearance, so we're going to have the birthday kid MuesliSwap that basically kickstarted Cardano DeFi. That will be jointly speaking with SundaeSwap. Pi, I already see he's here. That's great. And these two will, of course, be talking about decentralized exchanges, followed by COTI and Indigo, which will, of course, be talking about stablecoins. Afterwards, we're going to have World Mobile Token. They're going to be talking about Telcom, and followed by Eternl and MELD, which will, of course, talk about wallets and lending, respectively. And before we finalize with Emurgo, we're going to have Charlie 3 talking about oracles. So as mentioned, every project will today talk about the development of the past year, as well as the coming one, giving you a chance to find out what you can expect from Cardano DeFi also in the next 365 days. And finally, in between each of the projects, or in other words, when each project ends presenting, the resident Cardano puppy, Hosky himself, will ask every project one question, followed by one question by the audience. So the question from the audience will be randomly selected. Rick will handle this, so we have no plans on who's going to be asking which question and when, so the questions from the audience will be very random. However, I do only need to ask you to keep the questions in relation to the projects themselves, as we try to maintain a certain flow of the conversation on the individual topics and projects. So right before I sign off and pass it on to Rick, I just want to also say a quick thank you to CryptoSlate. This is the media partner of this space. They will be doing a recap of the space, so what all the projects say, and you can find this recap afterwards on their website, so you can have a look in case you don't have time for the recording or you don't have time to join right now. There's going to be a recap on the CryptoSlate website. So once more, thank you everyone for coming. Happy birthday Cardano DeFi. I hope we have an incredible space that will debunk many myths about Cardano, and that's it from my side. I'm passing it on to Rick and disappearing in the background. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanja, and feel free to keep me on track. Thank you. I'm honored to be here. Appreciate it. I'll be moderating. Myself, I'm a Cardano podcaster and stake pool operator. I'll be moderating today. To reiterate, as Vanja said, we're going to stick to the timeline. That's to be respectful of everyone's time. Each team will have an allocation of either 10, 15, or 20 minutes according to the schedule, followed by 5 minutes for questions. Please keep the questions terse and on topic for everyone's benefit. I'll let you know when we have a hard stop to go to the questions and a hard stop to go to the next speaker, but we'll also try to maintain some level of fluidity if a speaker is either not able to make it. But we're going to try to be mindful of time because we have a lot of great people here to speak with us today, and I'd like to thank everyone for coming here today to this space. Happy birthday to Cardano DeFi. Let's get started with I think next was intros, right, Vanja? We're going to have each person just a brief introduction, whoever's here, and then we're going to roll into MuesliSwap and SundaeSwap for the first 15 minutes. So brief intros, right, Vanja? Okay. So let's go ahead and roll into let's roll with SundaeSwap and MuesliSwap. Tell us about your products and how people can engage with your products. Tell us what you have to say here with Cardano DeFi birthday. Thank you.
Yeah. So first off, happy birthday, Muesli. You know, a lot of people call SundaeSwap the first DEX, and I'm always first to correct them to say we were the first AMM DEX because MuesliSwap kind of came out of the woodwork last year and launched, kind of to everybody's surprise. Nobody really knew who you were. I'm really interested to hear, because I've never heard the story. What was that like for you guys building and launching kind of in stealth like that?
Thanks for the setup. I'm Niels from MuesliSwap. I'm the head of technical development, and yeah, thanks. I mean, I would quickly just say it's so cool to see this space being organized, and I'm almost as excited as last year when we launched the DEX, but of course not as much. When we collectively decided, okay, we have built our thing, we have tested everything through, and now we're going to launch the first DeFi protocol. I mean, there have been experiments before. There was SpaceBuds with their NFT sale, and yeah, this was very exciting to see how to be accepted, to see what's the feedback, and it was like a small, very stealthy explosion. First, of course, among our followers, and then we saw it's slowly spreading, and well, now we are here. We have this great community. We have arrived. I have to say that as well. Within the community, we have found some great supporters, but also some great people to collaborate. And I mean, integrate as well. We have launched our aggregator that includes, among others, SundaeSwap and all the other AMM dexes on Cardano. We are still developing our order book that supports partial matches. So it's kind of a really neat flow if you want to trade efficiently. We are looking proudly on our own AMMs that have now joined the Cool Kid Club, so to say, and started yield farming a few weeks ago, and now looking into the future with concentrate liquidity pools and these features. But yeah, it was a fun ride. It was very exciting to grow slowly and then be also recognized by projects like SundaeSwap. Do you want to tell us a bit more about yourself, maybe as well?
Sure. Yeah. So for those who don't know, I'm Pi, the CTO of SundaeSwap. We launched in January, and we one of the most anticipated projects to launch on Cardano, and that came with its challenges, but overall the DEX has had really great uptime. So swaps are, you can go and swap and deposit. We ran a yield farm program both for us and for several tokens on our DEX, and we've been kind of working on a variety of initiatives, improving the existing DEX, working on kind of a governance solution for both us and other members of the ecosystem, researching kind of long-term scalability solutions, and then some improvements to our UI. We've kind of rebuilt the UI from the ground up, and we're hoping to launch that fairly soon. I remember MuesliSwap last year, kind of when you launched, and I first heard about you. My first question was, what is with Cardano's obsession with milk? Because there was MuesliSwap and then Milkomeda, and it was, so initially I was very skeptical because you came out of nowhere, but I'm glad to see you still here, still building with us a year later.
So I have an interesting discussion that will kind of help, or question that will help continue the discussion here. So last night I was degenning me some Indie over on MuesliSwap, and the reason being is because on MinSwap, my Indie was getting sucked out of my liquidity pool. So when I went over to go get it over on MuesliSwap, there was only like 3 Indie available. So I clicked the button that says DEX Aggregator, and then I could buy a much bigger bag. So I was on Muesli, but I was buying it via Sundae. Can you tell us a little bit more about how did that relationship develop? How did that develop? How does that work?
Do you want to go first, Pi? Or?
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to. So I work for a company called SundaeSwap Labs, but what we built was SundaeSwap the DEX, which is a decentralized exchange. And I think this was a really great first example. Very shortly after we went live, MuesliSwap figured out how our protocol worked and built their own kind of entry rampway into that protocol. And so when they, and correct me if I'm wrong, Niels, but my understanding is that they build and submit orders to the blockchain without ever interacting with us, which is really, really cool that kind of the blockchain serves as this financial operating system, this shared language among protocols, so that you can have those kinds of interactions without, they launched that without ever having to come to us to, get access to APIs or anything like that. And if there's ever a time where the SundaeSwap website goes down, MuesliSwap would just be able to continue operating. And so really, to me, that's one of the really exciting and powerful ideas in blockchain and in Cardano DeFi is that interoperability. And a lot of what I focus on and the projects that I choose to advise and the work that I do is really directed at that goal of how do we make the richest, most interconnected DeFi ecosystem that we can. So, Niels, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I just wanted to point out that it's pretty much exactly how you described it, and it was also quite fun for us. I mean, for the nerds in our team, of course, after SundaeSwap launch, we were like, let's go and figure out how it works, and let's have a look at this other DeFi protocol, and let's see if we can plug these things together. And I mean, after the prototype, we developed this stable thing, and yes, it's right. We have built basically all the analysis, we are scraping all the data from the chain. We have more or less rebuilt all the protocols we need for the aggregator, and yeah, with that we have proudly launched our own aggregator that takes you to the other protocols more or less seamlessly, as you said, Rick. You just switch that button, and suddenly you have access to so much more. And it's exactly as Pi said. It's a great feature of blockchain in general that it's all decentralized.
One thing I will add is, and hopefully we'll have a small demo of this in this month's Sunday Scoop, kind of our monthly update video. We're working on an SDK, TypeScript, JavaScript library that lets you very easily build transactions to interact with the SundaeSwap blockchain or protocol. And so if you are a project out there building and you have a cool idea for how you can integrate with SundaeSwap, keep an eye out for that. Reach out to us if you want to be an early kind of beta user of that SDK. But our goal is to, again, push forward that interconnectivity between the DeFi ecosystem by kind of enabling these other on-ramps to the protocol.
That's a great feature. It sounds very interesting.
Great. It sounds like, so basically you've covered some of the history of the previous year and touched on some of the aspects that you're going to be, some of the features you're going to be providing in the future. Any other features you want to touch on before we shift over to Hosky with the first question? And I will bring a speaker up. It looks like I have Damon has requested, so I'll bring Damon up as a speaker. Any other features you want to talk about coming up in the next year? Pi, Niels?
I would like to quickly stress out for those that missed that really we've recently launched interesting in it, and but I think it's a great opportunity for those that are interested in protocol trends, some other tokens, or use their hungry cow that our NFT that boosts yield farm. I mean, for the future, that we're looking forward to integrate concentrated liquidity pools, which will just tremendously improve the liquidity in our own protocols. And yeah, Pi, do you want to go next?
Sure. Yeah. So what we've been building, beyond on top of kind of maintaining the existing infrastructure. We've been rebuilding the UI from scratch, and we're getting kind of very close to launching that. So keep an eye out for that in the near future. This really focuses on bringing your portfolio front and center. So understanding what has your balance been historically, what have you earned from different yield farming programs, what have you earned from being a liquidity provider in terms of fees, kind of really give you a fundamental understanding of how you're performing in kind of your trade activity. The next big thing that we've been working on is governance, and we've already launched governance with several kind of people in the ecosystem. EndMaker is kind of maybe the biggest one. So if you're a project out there that wants your own governance solution but doesn't want to invest a bunch into building it, feel free to reach out to us. We've got a really cool layer 2 on-chain solution. I'll talk a bit more about this in our monthly scoop, but we're getting close to launching our own governance portal. All the tech is there. We're just mostly working on the legal framework around it. We want to make sure that that's really solid. And then another thing that, is kind of quite a bit further out, but we're really looking at what would the V2 of our smart contracts look like? What would a protocol built today with all the knowledge we've gained over the last year look like? And in particular, how would that interplay with various kind of layer 2 scaling solutions? And so we're really excited about that research. We showed a little bit off of that. Kind of we're one of the first projects to be building on Hydra and demoing that. And the story for us for layer 2 scalability is much bigger than just Hydra. So over the next year, we're really excited to show you what that looks like.
Beautiful. I'm curious to see the historical feature, because what I've been doing is taking little screen captures to say which things went up and which things went down. So that would be a fantastic feature. I'm very looking forward to it. All right. Thank you. I'm going to shift over to Hosky now. I'm going to restart my timer here to make sure we stay in touch. And Hosky, you have the first question. And then I'll bring Matt up from the audience. Matt has requested. So Hosky, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Rick. Happy first birthday to MuesliSwap, and congratulations to both the number 2 and number 3 decks on Cardano. As we all know, Hosky Swap was number 1, even if it was held together by Gum and Spit. But the question I have is for both of you guys. I want to get your perspective on this. We've heard a lot of projects who have recently claimed it's very difficult to build on Cardano. Now, both MuesliSwap as well as SundaeSwap have been pioneers in the DeFi space. So what advice would you guys give to projects trying to build on Cardano? How can they tackle that task?
Yeah. So first off, I would say it's not necessarily hard to build on Cardano. It's hard to build on something that's new. And I don't think that that's Cardano specific. I think Cardano has a lot going for it in terms of enabling developers to build and making it very easy. What's difficult is that Cardano is such a fresh and burgeoning ecosystem. Each time a new kind of layer or new ecosystem launches, people forget how long it took in previous iterations. So Ethereum, I used to have the dates memorized back when people asked me about this a lot, but I've forgotten those. But it was like something like 2 years between Ethereum's smart contract launch and the first big DeFi players. And so, yes, each iteration of an ecosystem and each kind of major technology like Cardano is going to go a little bit faster because we've learned a lot from the experiences that Ethereum went through. But it also means that there's a whole new set of tools to build. There's a whole new set of design patterns and methodologies. And so I think that's what's difficult, not necessarily Cardano. And so, yeah, it's very difficult. And my kind of biggest piece of advice would be focus on practical first. Get your end-to-end MVP working as quickly as possible, right? Serialize a transaction. Have just a simple, even a smart contract that you'd never go to production with, running end-to-end, because that's going to prove out a lot of the feasibility of your protocol and inform design decisions that if you stay in theory land, for a long time and think, oh yeah, in principle this protocol works really great, and then you're going to run into, I think, a lot of challenges where kind of the rubber of the tires of theory meet the asphalt of the road of reality. And so that's my biggest piece of advice. Niels, do you have anything separate?
Thank you, Pi and Hosky. I would like to get Zach a question from the audience. We have 2 minutes left on this.
Oh, sure.
Yep. Zach, go ahead.
Me?
There you go.
I don't particularly have any questions around this, to be honest. I'm not sure if I
sorry about that, Zach. Rick and I are still trying to find a flow because I'm on top of who's joining today as guests, and Rick is trying to get the audience to ask a question. So there's a bit of a mismatch right now between me and Rick, but we'll get better. We'll get better.
Yeah, thanks, Vanja. Zach. I don't always everyone who's a the team, so we are trying to coordinate on Telegram who's up next. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish that one out. Pi, you were offering for Niels to also respond to Hosky's question.
Yes, I would definitely agree on what Pi has said, and I think the most important part when building on Cardano is not to think about how can I transfer what is there on Cardano, but think new. Think about what options do we have now that we did not have before. For example, if you look at MuesliSwap, we have the native order book built in, and this is tedious, if not impossible, on all the Ethereum versions of DeFi. And with the UTXO model of Cardano, you just have completely different options. So maybe if you have trouble transport stuff you already know, try something new. Connect with the foundation, with the community, check the documentation, read up what's there, what you can use now, what you can build on top of, and what that gives you as options. Yeah, that's all my 2 cents.
All right, perfect, Niels. And we are at the hard stop for that segment. Thank you, MuesliSwap and SundaeSwap. Next, we're going to COTI and Indigo. We have Shahaf Bargeffen and Eric Cooley are with us this afternoon. And gentlemen, please tell us about your products, how people can engage with your products, and a little bit about yourself as well. Thank you.
Okay, great. I'll go first, Steve. Well, first of all, happy birthday. And Rick, great speaking with you again. And I see a lot of familiar faces here listening, so a big shout out. And you know what? It's always great to be among the Cardano community. Really feel at home. So my name is Shahaf Bargeffen. I'm the CEO for COTI, and I'm here to talk about JED. So JED is an over-collateralized algorithmic stablecoin. So what does that mean? So I'll dive into what over-collateralization actually means, and algorithmic in our case. But it all goes back about a year ago, September 2021, during the Cardano Summit. I was on stage with Charles Hoskinson, and we've announced our partnership, and development then commenced. And in the latest summit, just now, we've announced that JED will go to mainnet this January. So what does that mean, being an over-collateralized algorithmic stablecoin? So by over-collateralization, we mean that JED is backed by ADA, by 4x to 8x over-collateralization, which gives it a lot of safety. And algorithmic means, obviously, that this is a decentralized protocol where the community actually participates. It means that it has no fiat backing, and that's how the system is built. And we need JED because we need stable coins on Cardano network, whether it's JED or anything else. We need a safe haven from volatility, and I believe that we need a system that is decentralized, just judging by what we've seen in the recent market. JED or other stablecoins will be a great enabler for DeFi, lending and borrowing, or anything that is financially important in the Cardano ecosystem. So there's going to be a lot of development this year, and I think it's great overall. And JED is also community driven. So the code will be open source. The system is fully decentralized. The community can participate, whether it's not just holding JED, but the community can participate by minting JED, burning JED, or minting and burning Shen, which is the incentive that we offer to participants for their ADA deposit so that the system can be over-collateralized. Overall, if you're doing a 4x to 8x stabilization, this is pricey, right? The safety comes with a cost. And that cost is offset with Shen, which is the token that is produced when you give ADA as collateral to the system, and you then enjoy fees and equity appreciation and so on. So the way that JED, or the smart contract, actually works is that you have a front-end access. It's available in JED.xyz. Right now, it's in the testnet phase, and we're actually revamping testnet now. But in the coming days, you can probably play with it a bit. Once it goes mainnet, people start depositing ADA until we reach a 4x collateral. When that happens, people can still add more collateral and get Shen, but they can also start minting and burning JED, which is the actual stable coin. When we cross the 8x collateral, then people can no longer mint Shen. That means that those who've participated early on will not be diluted further by other participants, but obviously you can still burn JED. Overall, when we are at the 4x to 8x collateral, the system works freely. You can mint and burn Shen, mint and burn JED. When it crosses 8x, as I've mentioned, you can always mint and burn JED, but Shen is no longer available. But even if it's below 4x, you can always burn your JED and get your ADA back. So this is how we produce the safety that is required for algorithmic stablecoins. How to interface with JED? Simply, obviously, not all people would like to interact directly with the smart contract, so they can just go to JED.xyz and do that over there. The UI is pretty straightforward. You connect a wallet and you can start working. You have JED. What's next? So first of all, obviously, you no longer experience volatility, but you can also provide liquidity and gain rewards. If you hold Shen, it's an interesting token. You provide stability to JED, and you're rewarded by receiving mint and burn rewards. You can, you stay long on ADA, and it's pretty interesting, and not a lot of people understand it. But if ADA price appreciates, you actually get more ADA, because those who were there for the JED will now get less ADA to get their dollar worth, and that extra ADA actually goes to Shen holders. And obviously, Shen will be available on DEXs, so you can, farm it to get more rewards. And the next version of the JED smart contract will also allow you to get staking rewards out of it. This last year, we've been all around the Cardano ecosystem, signing partnerships with DEXs, obviously, everybody that is in this call and others, launchpads, the P2P trading protocols, RealFi, NFT gaming, Indigo, of course, lending and borrowing platforms, etc., etc. So we've been everywhere, and those who we haven't reached can always reach us at contact.jed.xyz, and would love to make sure that JED is widely spreaded as possible. If you want to learn more, you can do that easily by either following COTI Network at COTI Network or myself. But we'll also be around the Cardano community in these coming weeks quite a lot, gearing up to the mainnet launch. a few AMAs. We'll be talking with various groups and spaces like this one to make sure that we spread the word. But at the JEDXYC, you can also see a few videos, read the white paper, and learn all about it. That's Jed, pretty much it.
Thank you, Shahaf. And we also have Alexander here, who's a senior product manager at COTI as well. Alexander, if you'd like to add some comments. I did have a point of curiosity. Is the community going to be able to test Shen? It looks like there's a Shen testnet minted. You're going to need community support testing it on testnet, or we'll see it when it comes up on mainnet?
Hi, guys. My name is Alexander Pranasenko. I'm actually the Director of Product Management at COTI. So that's the recent news. In terms of the question, that's a great question. And well, of course, we are not reliant on the community of doing the testing for us, right? This is why we have our quality assurance teams and our development teams that are doing automation testing. But we are always happy to allow the community to test and pinpoint, maybe flaws that we missed in the UI in terms of user experience. So we are always happy to hear from the community on those topics. I hope this answers the question.
Yes, thank you, Alexander. Anything else you'd like to add? We still have another minute and a half left here on COTI, and we're going to shift over to Eric Cooley with Indigo. Anything else?
Maybe I'll just go a bit on timelines and like next version. So what we'll have in January is version 1.1.1, which is minimal JED that is compatible to Vasil hard fork. It's being audited. Next version 1.2 will actually utilize Vasil hard fork, and then in version 1.3 it's called extended JED that has dynamic fees and prices, and will also offer the rewards that comes with staking.
Awesome, thank you. And if I'm following, thank you, Shahaf and Alexander. If I'm following the timeline correctly, we're going to shift over to Indigo with Eric Cooley, and then we'll take the questions at the end. Did I read that right, Vanja?
That is correct.
All righty. So next we're going to Indigo with Eric. How you doing today, sir?
Good, brother. How are you?
Doing well, thanks.
I see your Indigo laser eyes, man. I love the support. Yeah. So really excited to be here. Happy birthday, DeFi on Cardano, 1 year. In some ways, I can't believe it's been a year already. In other ways, it seems like it's been longer. So it's kind of an interesting thing, but we've been here building. Kudos to all of our colleagues and friends in this ecosystem supporting everything along the way, because it takes a collective of all of us to achieve where we really want to see this DeFi space be in 3-5 years down the line and compete with the ecosystems, that we see on, Ethereum and these other ones. But really, really proud of just all of our colleagues that are putting forth incredible manpower and effort to make all this real and happen. Indigo, for those of you who do not know, we're a decentralized synthetics protocol for on-chain exposure to any real world or digital asset. Those synthetic assets within Indigo, we call them I-assets. We're really excited of where we're at right now. We just went mainnet last week, so a week ago today. So big congrats to my team. Really proud of them. We've been developing for 1.5 years now on Cardano and trying to really be trailblazers in many ways and prove that a lot of the things that are only theorized up until now on Cardano are capable and real from a DeFi perspective. We brought a full suite DeFi protocol mainnet post Vasil, where it was an incredible amount of effort that took to do this in the manner that we did and built this team and built Indigo. But we're a week into being mainnet. So if you want to, for those of you interested how to interface with the protocol, it's live right now. You can go mint I assets, very similar to Shahaf's solution that they were presenting with COTI. And congratulations, Shahaf, on announcing your mainnet next month, or rather in January. We're all highly anticipating that. I know we are, being your partner. We're also an over-collateralized CDP system. So for any iAsset, users will use ADA as their form of collateral to mint iAssets. We have 2 iAssets live right now. One is IBTC. So the idea of a synthetic asset is any asset that tracks the value or price action of a real world or digital asset. So in this case, we're giving the Cardano ecosystem price exposure natively to the Bitcoin price action. So you can mint IBTC using ADA as your collateral, opening a CDP, many different things that you can do from there, such as LP to DEXs or deposit within Indigo stability pools. But those CDPs are pretty common form for stablecoins in some regards, and others we have fiat redeemable solutions. I'm of the belief that we need all different stablecoin solutions to really power this ecosystem. There's a lot of different preferences for people out there, and we're one with IUSD that is an over collateralized solution. So we have a capital efficient MCR of 110% that is able to be modified through protocol parameters through decentralized on-chain governance. So as we went mainnet last week, we brought with Indigo fully decentralized governance. We're really excited about that. The first on-chain proposal will be our launch proposal, which was part of our Indigo DAO Kickstart. So we are actually going to ratify that on-chain as our first on-chain proposal. But back to IUSD, it is an over-collateralized solution with 110% MCR. But what's really unique about the way we built this is that IUSD itself, even though it's a synthetic asset, it is tracking the price of USDC, USDT, and TUSD. And the reason why we wanted to build that is for a fault-tolerant triple peg redundancy. So it takes the median, which is the middle number of the 3. So if we see an event where some major tether FUD or some black swan event for one of those decentralized stablecoin solutions happens, IUSD will maintain its peg. So it's a really unique structure in how we created it. It is a decentralized stablecoin solution that is really unique. We're really proud of how we put that together. We, did not intend to be a stablecoin or create a stablecoin. We just had a unique technology and capability through tracking other digital and real world assets that we said, you know what, this is a need this ecosystem needs, and we really want to see DeFi get off the ground. We have our DEX partners that are out here innovating every day and bringing this kind of really critical DEX technology to the ecosystem. Well, what's next? We have to have a stablecoin solution, and we took it upon ourselves to build IUSD. We said, okay, we have the capability to fill this need. We're going to. And IUSD is launched as we speak, and it's a native Cardano stablecoin solution. And again, we're really anticipating JED, and we're anticipating USDA, any others that can come to the ecosystem, because individual preference, we have a lot of different people with different flavors and what they want and what they really, decide that is the best mechanism for them from a stablecoin solution perspective. So IUSD is just one of many, but hopefully what will get us off the ground from really where we're at right now to the next step of DeFi on Cardano. So yeah, I think it's really exciting where we're at. One feature that I think was really only theorized until now that we brought mainnet, and I know everyone's really excited about it, is the CDP liquid staking feature. For us, this was a really cool concept to really bring to life. And it, specifically for Indigo, the way we built it, basically the collateral that I referenced earlier, when you're opening a CDP and minting an iAsset, right now the current form of collateral is ADA. Users that are staked or delegated to a stake pool, they can use that same ADA kept in that stake pool with their stake key, use it as collateral in the system, mint the iAsset, and continue to earn the reward from Cardano. the staking key makes it as if the collateral, the ADA itself, has never left their stake pool. It just references it because the stake key references the same amount of ADA, whether it's in the system as collateral or in their stake pool. The payment key is what ensures that the ADA actually moved from their stake pool to the system, to Indigo. But this, again, this was a feature that was theorized up until now, but we brought it to life, and we're really proud about that because I strongly feel this is a feature that will bring deep liquidity from outside the ecosystem once this catches on. We have liquid staking in other ecosystems, but not this way. And it's just very simplified, very easy, very secure because Indigo is a decentralized protocol. So liquid staking is something that for us is just, we hope it to be a game changer. I know it's been catching a lot of attention over the last several days as some of the key opinion leaders have been picking it up and talking about it. And if I'm being honest, it's just too easy. It's kind of a no-brainer. If you're going to use ADA in any DeFi system and still be able to earn staking rewards on it, it's just a really attractive feature. And we're really proud to bring that to the system. Going forward, our focus right now being 1 week in the mainnet, we're continuing to improve the UI UX, fielding community suggestions on that daily, making improvements to the wallets that we support. I think we're going to see an announcement go out later today that we're supporting Gero wallet. We just integrated ADA handle. Hardware wallet support is within days of announcing. So we're really excited about that too as well, because we understand, in order to have sufficient liquidity in a system, you should be transacting with good wallet hygiene, and that would include hardware wallet support. So we understand the importance of that, and we're just doing our final testing on that now. So continuing to improve UI UX, innovations to the system. We have already white papered and ideated the V2 suite of what Indigo Protocol V2 will look like, going through the quantitative analysis of all of it to ensure everything is sound. Definitely going to be going down the path of formal verification with this system because of how complex it is, but we'll be introducing e-assets to accompany our I-assets as we continue to expand out the Indigo Protocol synthetic asset suite. And I know there's been a lot of discussion lately on crypto Twitter and certainly within the Cardano ecosystem about VC funded projects. And I think it really is, for Indigo specifically, whenever I founded Indigo Labs, February of 21, I really had it in my mind to kind of turn the tide in DeFi and do something different. I've been in tech for 15 years. And for those that know me here, I try to, certainly if anyone on my team is here listening, I'm a man of integrity, and it's really important to me for building relationships, being honest and truthful and transparent about everything that you're doing. And I really wanted to show not just the Cardano ecosystem and not just DeFi, but really the industry as a whole, that we can build these things in a manner that is, well, in a fair launch way. I understand fully that may not be everyone's ability. And I absolutely, my colleagues that have taken the approach of investor liquidity or investor money, that is great, because we absolutely have the need for that. Indigo specifically, we went in a fair launch approach. I think that for us was important given the disruptive nature of the Indigo technology. It was important for us to show that we can build in this ecosystem and prove the team's deliverability and capability before we would go seek some future raise. Again, I am not at all opposed to those who did it differently, and I understand fully that that is the route that the majority of the industry has gone, but it doesn't have to be the only way. And for us, it was important to show that, we can build really complex full suite protocols, whether in DeFi or some other DApp vertical, and do it to prove that this is not only a VC run game. So for us, it was very important for us to prove that out and show that we can launch a product really that is backed by the effort, the finances in-house, the private money of the team to be able to build these things. So that's another thing that we're really passionate about, and we'll continue to innovate from here. Yeah, so open to any questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. And that was perfect timing. That filled up. That's the end of that 20-minute segment. Next, we're going to questions. The first question will be from Hosky, and it can be either for Indigo if you want to follow up with Eric Hosky, and also any of the listeners. Someone go ahead and please request, and I'll get you up here and we get the listener question in. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. This question is actually going to be for Shahaf. So the question I have is, who actually governs COTI? Is it the COTI token holders via smart contract system, or is it governed by COTI, the company? And I don't mean the actual voting process, but the actions are taken after said decision is made.
Great one. So first of all, it's important to understand that JED, the smart contract, is not built on COTI chain. COTI just happens to be the company that published the smart contract and handles the front end, etc. So JED will have its own governance system that will be, and it will be governed by shareholders specifically.
Okay, perfect. And I guess since that was quick, I do have one question for Indigo. What do you guys have coming up regarding stablecoins? Any plans for cross-chain compatibility?
So cross-chain compatibility is something that we've thought a lot about. I think initially we were looking at bridges, but I think in light of what we've seen over the last year, that's definitely had us rethink what our strategy there was. We have some pretty easy targets as to where we can build out natively too, such as Ergo or some of these other platforms that are in the UTXO structure. But for now, I think our focus really is Cardano and continuing to innovate what we have on Cardano. As far as stablecoins, specifically, IUSD is certainly our bread and butter from a stablecoin perspective. But prior to the pivot there, IUSDC was going to be our first to market synthetic stablecoin. We decided to go away from that just because we innovated where we took IUSD as its own novel solution. I wouldn't put it past the Indigo DAO to be making suggestions and whitelisting assets through governance that would replicate USDC, USDT, perhaps on its own. We'll just have to see.
Thank you, Hosky and Eric. I'd like to go to Lord for a community question. Lord, you're free to speak. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Does this question have to go directly to the projects, or can I ask MuesliSwap?
This time slot is for COTI and Indigo. If MuesliSwap is available, let's go ahead and hit that question now, because yours is the first community question I have. MuesliSwap, will you be able to answer?
Yes, I can answer. Hi, everybody.
Okay, great. Because the question, it kind of entails all the other projects as well. But first of all, happy anniversary. All right, happy 1-year anniversary. I'm glad to see you all stuck around. The question I have for future, I'm looking at like the next year or so, 12 months. What are your future plans for the following year with all your partnerships now coming to fruition? All the stable coins are starting to wake up, as well as, do you have any plans for the Snow token, I believe it was called? And any other news that you might have, surprises waiting in the rafters? That's all. Thank you.
So I will cover the first part of the question. For the other ones, I think we will make a dedicated AMA in the next week or so. So what we do for stablecoins. So we already announced that we are working on concentrated liquidity pools. The audit will start soon. It's already on internal testnet. And what concentrated liquidity pools mean is that liquidity providers, they can set a range in which they want to provide liquidity. And by doing that, you kind of increase the liquidity available in the order book, or however you will take it. So this makes it much better for stablecoins. So a stablecoin. So let's say that users, they want to swap USDA versus JET, for example. So now you could provide liquidity in the range from 0.98 to $0.12 US, meaning that your entire liquidity is used within this range, which makes it much more efficient. So as an example, I think it would increase liquidity by 14,000 times if you would just provide in this range, meaning that users can get much better prices and people providing liquidity will earn more fees. Yeah, that's one of the big things coming up. And then we have other stuff like governance and so on coming. And also we have some news around our aggregator, but I think we will cover this in a separate AMA. I hope that kind of is okay for now.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for the information. I appreciate it. And thank you, Rick, for hosting as well.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question, Lord. I appreciate it. And we still have 5 minutes left for questions for Indigo and COTI. I'll go ahead and roll with one. One of the questions for COTI, mostly on topic. A few people ask and say, they ask, what is the relationship between COTI, the company, COTI, the token, and Cardano, the platform? I don't know if you want to touch on that, Shahaf.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, we have a long history with Cardano. Complete serendipity how I met Charles Hoskinson, but that's for a different different spaces, I guess. But since then, we have started working together. So the first thing that COTI and Cardano did together was AdaPay. Then when Cardano, IOG and Wave launched a C Fund, the VC arm that invests in companies that help grow the Cardano ecosystem, we were the first investment. And now this. So COTI is a company. It's the creator of the Trust Chain, which is an enterprise grade layer 1. And gas is COTI, the COTI coin. So that's one thing. But COTI's business arm and business development arm is actually the one that is working with IOG to produce JED, right? So IOG is the one that is actually developing the smart contract and the system around it. COTI, the company, publishes the smart contract, becomes the issuer, and also produces the front end. And the way it works is that COTI collects some operational fee. It's actually lower than the burn and mint fees, but we collect some fee out of it. And then through COTI's treasury, it funnels to the holders of COTI through our treasury system, which is a pretty elaborated system that a lot of our users actually interact with. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you. And we only have 2 minutes left with Indigo and COTI. And I think something that comes up often, people need to know Indigo has a YouTube channel. If you want to understand iAssets better, go check out Indigo's YouTube channel. It's linked through their website, through their link tree, and it will explain how these iAssets work. I think what people are curious to see is more YouTube videos on how to use the Indigo app website. What are the risks? What are the benefits? How do the features work? That'll be interesting to see. All right, anything else to add? I'm looking for World Mobile in the audience, but anything else to add, Eric, before we wrap up here?
Yeah, no, I think just on the statement you just made, Rick, about additional educational content, that's something that, over the last probably several months, as we've been getting closer to mainnet, we've seen this ramp up within our own community of people taking on that charge and creating that content. I know Jack, I think it was maybe last night, released a video of how to get liquidated. It's kind of how I took it, and that was pretty cool. I wouldn't suggest the entry point that he did, but nonetheless, the point is more of that content is going to be created and hopefully community driven. I mean, that's really where it's at. The team can go and create this content as we have the last year and a half, but I think it's far more powerful when you see the community, the Indigo believers, or other people that want to just experiment with the protocol, go and create that content on behalf of Indigo. So it's not just the team trying to shill it to you and pump it to you. I think it comes off more real and genuine that way. So we have several different channels in our own Discord where we have dedicated to that specific content creation, whether it's DAO creation of the very specific proposals that the DAO is creating, or marketing content, educational content. That's really big for us to really ramp up the community, because again, it's a community-owned project. It's a DAO-owned project. So on education, it's coming. Especially over the last week, now that we've been mainnet, there's been a flurry of educational content that's been created. So you're going to see it more. Maybe less from the team, as it should be. There should be an organic thing. It's going to keep coming from the community, and we're going to keep encouraging that. So just keep an eye out for it. And thanks to all the content creators, anyone here that is creating the content on our behalf and putting out that informational stuff. It's very much appreciated, and it really helps everyone else understand Indigo more. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric, Alexander, and Shahaf. Greatly appreciate the information you're providing today. Next up is World Mobile. I need to check with Vanja to make sure we have our World Mobile person here.
Yeah.
Zach is here.
Hey.
Excellent. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hello, Zach.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well, thanks. All right. Tell us about World Mobile, yourself, your products, and how people can engage with World Mobile.
Yeah, so look, we're kind of like an honorary guest in this DeFi spaces that you guys are holding. Obviously, we're not specifically a DeFi project, but we are the layer that allows all DeFi to operate. So we are providing connectivity and internet. And so World Mobile has developed a mobile network operator that has integrated blockchain into the technology stack, allowing us to decentralize telecommunications. And we're doing so via a sharing economy. So it means that users of the network can own the infrastructure of the network and earn off the revenue that's generated through the network as well. So we built our native token out on Cardano, and we've building a side chain that runs as a proof of stake network as well, that will be using Cardano as its financial settlement layer. And so we focus on providing connectivity into rural areas that traditionally don't have connectivity, or outside of the realm of connectivity, as well as urbanized areas. So we're focused on East Africa and the USA at the moment, and doing some stuff in the UK and exploring Southeast Asia. And the idea of all of this is to just give connectivity to half the world that don't have connectivity. And so, when you look at DeFi and seeing the stable coins that are launching, and by the way, congratulations to everyone who's launching a stable coin. When you're onboarding new users into a new ecosystem such as DeFi, it's really important that we have stable coins in the ecosystem as well. Because when you're learning about crypto, and when you're in areas where you might not have a high earning capacity but still want to be able to participate, the only option that you have shouldn't be assets that are volatile. There should be something that is pegged to dollar for dollar, essentially. So through providing this connectivity and through all of the projects on this call, we're able to onboard people safely into the DeFi space, and that's huge. That's a really big accomplishment, and happy birthday to everyone here for the 1 year of being in the Cardano DeFi ecosystem. But yeah, like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about World Mobile as a DeFi project, but it's super, super important for the Cardano ecosystem and for World Mobile to have these DeFi projects built out and trusted and essentially trusting within the code as well. So, great group of individuals who have proven themselves over the year to be highly trustworthy. But on top of all of that, you've got the trust of code, which you can't copy and, falter.
All right. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate that. And Hosky, do you have any questions? I'll move on to the question portion of this. So if any listeners have questions, go ahead and request. I'll keep an eye out for it. Hosky, go for it.
Yeah, sure thing. Alrighty, so I do have a question regarding the business model as a whole. We have seen a lot of coverage on what's actually happening on the ground, which is wonderful to see. People getting connected that normally wouldn't have access. a lot of people have compared your business model to that of Helium, who pretty much failed. What do you believe is setting you guys apart in comparison to, say, Helium?
I think one of the key differences between us and Helium is the revenue that flows through the system. Helium did two things. They ran an IoT only network, and frankly, IoT is just not where it needs to be yet to provide proper connectivity. They're now doing like a bolt-on of 4G, 5G connectivity, where we've done that from the beginning. So we've gone in from the start to be an MNO and an ISP, and we're not tying ourselves into proprietary hardware either. So one of the things that Helium did is they decided, oh, we're going to use proprietary hardware, and there's multiple instances of people still not getting the Helium hardware that they need. So we've gone for of the approach of let's build the network, let's get the users on board, let's build out a cellular and Wi-Fi network from the beginning, and then let's start bringing in the revenue.
Perfect. And one last follow-up, so I don't think anybody's come up yet. Do you guys have like an average revenue per user that you guys are working with right now that you could provide?
We do, but it's not really for me to say because I don't stand on the telco team. I sit more on the blockchain side of things, so I wouldn't want to say the wrong thing. But different areas will have different ARPU. So in areas like East Africa, you will have a lower ARPU than you would in the USA. I think ARPU might be around $3 per person in areas in East Africa, whereas in the USA, it could be up to $50 a month.
Okay, perfect. Yep, that was the question. Thank you so much.
Yep. Awesome.
Excellent. Thank you, Hosky. Thank you, Zach. I'm looking for any community questions. We still have 2.5 minutes left. I see Fibonacci. Fibonacci, I'll bring you up. I'm going to add you as a speaker so you can ask a community question as well. And I think that was a good conversation to have if you want to distribute a currency in Africa or regional specific. That has to be a specific effort. All right, Fibonacci, what's your question?
Thank you very much, Rick. I have a question for World Mobile. Do you see Starlink as a concurrent, a competitor, or a partner?
I think that we don't look at Starlink as a competitor at all because we do utilize their solution as a backhaul in certain areas, and we do work with Starlink. They're not really a competition to us. It's a very different business model. While we can use Starlink to propagate and spread the network and cover a large area in places like East Africa, to have a Starlink monthly subscription is quite costly. So we target a different user base when it comes to user acquisition, but yeah, we're not competition with one another.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
All right. Thank you, Fibonacci. Thank you, Zach from World Mobile. Zach, anything else you'd like to add? We got a minute left, or we're going to switch over to
I just want to say congratulations to everyone who's built out DeFi and Cardano. It's really, really cool. I very, very much look forward to stablecoins in the ecosystem. I think it's been a long road to get to where we are, and everything's starting to take shape. So congratulations to everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Zach. All right. And switch over to Eternl. And Eternl, most people are familiar with you, but tell us about your product, how people can engage with your products, and congratulations on all the great things that you do. Welcome, Eternl.
Hey, good evening, Cardano community. I'm Marcel, the lead dev behind Eternl. Happy birthday to MuesliSwap and to DeFi on Cardano. It really was such a crazy year. It feels like it was 3 years in total combined. So much happened, and yeah, we as a community wallet, we started quite early. we were part of the ITN and the shared testnets, and then started our own stake pools. And all the wallets that were available at the time didn't really cut it for us as the technical community. So we started with CC Wallet at the time. And after adding Ola to the team of devs, who is a legend in the SPO space, we published the wallet itself, and people liked it. So yeah, we grew slowly until DeFi hit, and especially the SundaeSwap launch threw us under the bus a little bit. The whole Cardano blockchain was congested, and everyone wanted to start using DeFi on Cardano rapidly, and the chain wasn't there yet. And to be honest, we as wallet, we were handling 2,000 people at the time, and suddenly it spiked to 20K, and our servers weren't ready as well. So we spent 2 weeks adding servers, optimizing the load balancing, and so on. That was quite a crazy time. But yeah, then IOG tuned the blockchain, and everything is now running smoothly. And new features are getting added at a rapid pace, and we can barely keep the pace to add all the new stuff. And in addition, keep Eternl running as smooth as possible. So that was a crazy year for all of us.
How difficult was it to go through a rebrand, formerly CC Vault, then CC Vault, then Eternl? And I got to tell you, you guys nailed it with the icon, the logo, the name. It's great. Was that difficult?
Oh yeah. So we started as CC Wallet, as few of you know, I guess. And then we also wanted to add mobile apps, and there was already a CC Wallet iOS app. So we thought by ourselves, okay, let's rebrand, keep the CC, and go with CC Vault. But that didn't really cut it for us. And at the time, I think early spring this year, Artifact, a marketplace on Cardano, who has also a small team, came up with the logo and with the name, and also gifted the domains to us. So really a huge thank you to the Artifact team for this one, and they nailed it, as you said. Within a week, no one talked about CC Vault anymore, and everyone tagged Eternl Wallet on Twitter, which was really nice to see.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, we'll shift over to questions. If anyone from the audience has a question, please request speaker. Hosky, over to you, sir.
Thank you. So just wanted to point out that you guys forgot an A in Eternl, just as a heads up. If you guys want to rebrand a third time, just consider that one. So you guys are pretty much the de facto hardcore wallet is what I would call for Cardano, and it was with no catalyst funding. What I want to know, and I think a lot of the community want to know, is what features can we expect in the future coming from Eternl?
Oh yeah, we have a lot of plans for the next 6 months. I don't know where to start there. So the really huge one will be the complete redesign of Eternl. So the most people say that Eternl looks ugly, and we call it functional. It all works and has a lot of information, but of course we acknowledge that it is not pretty, and we hired a designer, and the designs that I already got look amazing. So expect Eternl to ramp up on that front. And in terms of features, one of the next things that I really want to add to help me with my bookkeeping is smart contract UTXOs. So if you interact with a smart contract on Cardano, most of the time you actually have still control over the UTXO that's in the smart contract. So additionally to the wallet UTXO list, we will also add a smart contract UTXO list, so you can see where your funds actually are and what they are doing there, and because they are still under your control.
Awesome. That's the only question I had.
Thank you. We also have Christian Rees up for a question from Eternl. Christian, go for it.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me up. My question's for Eternl. I believe a couple months ago there was kind of some discussions around kind of more streamlining the Eternl experience, and I think it's definitely one of my favorite wallets on the platform, just in terms of functionality. But I think for people kind of coming in to using the wallet for the first time, the experience might be just more like the user experience and interface might be a little confusing to some people. And as we look at kind of solutions coming up from Lace, is there still plans to kind of streamline the experience for users, especially people who are new on onboarding?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's basically the idea behind the whole redesign. Making the onboarding of new people as smooth as possible. We will have a simple mode and a pro user mode in Eternl version 2. So people will start out with the simple version, and if you are a pro user, you just hit a toggle and you get all the information that you are used to. So that's how we try to tackle it in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Christian, and thank you, Eternl. Now, next we'll be shifting over to MELD. We have Matt from MELD here. So, Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself, your MELD products, and how people can engage with MELD products. Welcome.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me? Test.
Yep.
Testing.
Well.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'm not seeing like the UI show that's like reflecting that, so you always got to check with Twitter Spaces. Matt, you guys might know me. I've met a lot of you guys in real life. Awesome to see a lot of people here that I've actually shaken hands with and been on panels with. Rick and Peter are here. So it's been a good time. This is not my first time being interviewed by you guys, or at least on a panel. I'm do community and governance and a whole bunch of other things, and I do the Wednesday Spaces that you probably most know me for MELD. And we're a borrowing lending protocol built on Cardano, and we were hoping to go into testnet in the middle of January. So far, things looking good. And we're basically one of our biggest propositions was actually having a easily facilitating crypto to fiat. So you can basically stay long in your crypto assets, not have to liquidate them, and either incur capital gains or capital loss event, stay long in those assets, and be able to take out fiat loans against them to actually use them in the more practical, real environment, so to speak. Although hopefully things will change and we can do settlements more in crypto tokens or at least stable coins. But one thing at a time. So yeah, that's basically been one of our biggest propositions, is just being able to make it very try and make the user experience such that you can really make your crypto assets work for you without having to liquidate them, and just making your tax picture a lot easier. And so we're hoping to get that up and running too, the crypto to fiat system, where again, you can basically connect to your bank, do some KYC, and put up the collateral, your crypto as collateral within the protocol, and actually have a wire transfer to your bank with of a loan of fiat money, and be able to do whatever you want with that. So I think that's pretty cool. We also have, of course, the Diamond Hand NFTs out in the ether that give people certain benefits regarding the protocol and a reduction on fees with our crypto to fiat, as well as first looks at certain things. So you get a little bit of extra privileges there. And even though we've gone through a few NFT designers for the Diamond or for the Bank Manager NFTs, we're hoping to have those things sorted out soon, where you can put those in the hands of all the people who delegated to the ISPO, which is probably around 42,000 wallets. And again, we love making NFTs with utility. I constantly tell people, my pitch is that we have a very left brain approach to them, and we love utility and we love pushing the boundary there. So we're hoping like to bring all those different elements from like RealFi in terms of the fiat world and also like really making NFTs more practical and whatnot, and trying to bring everything together to make a really killer protocol that will be very practical to people, to make sure people have actually have a reason to use it. So yeah, that's us in a quick nutshell.
Thanks, Matt. That was a good quick nutshell. Some of the things I'm curious about. We're not onto the question portion yet, but we can move on to that. Without giving financial advice, do you have some good examples of how people could use a fiat-backed loan that may work out to their advantage? I know you mentioned a few, but do you have some concise examples of why users are going to find that useful?
Well, you never know. Like sometimes you might need to, who knows? Like you might need to quickly get some fiat. Something happened. You don't want to go liquidate your, like right now we're in a bear market. We don't want to liquidate our crypto assets at a loss, and you can't really like realize that until tax time, right? But you might need some cash now. So maybe, you need a quick bridge loan for something because like some sort of a event has happened to you. Like the saying, crypto rich but cash poor. A lot of us, like, I think philosophically don't like fiat, right? But of course, like some sort of event could happen to you, and you need to be able to leverage those assets to, do something. And like say you have like some unforeseen auto repairs, or God forbid something worse. I think it's always nice to be able to use your crypto assets as collateral to be able to leverage them in the real world for who knows what happens, right? So you never know. Life has a funny way of biting you in the ass when you least need it to. So I think it's nice to actually, instead of like just having those crypto assets sitting there and being ready to be leveraged for whatever gain maybe in some future bull market, you can still make them do something now. So I think that would be like the most practical example.
Awesome. Thank you. I'd like to hand it over to Hosky to begin questioning. If anybody has questions for MELD and you're a listener in the audience, please request. Hosky, go for it.
Thank you, sir. So MELD, Matt, with many projects recently having tapped out, is what we'll call it, a lot of questions surround MELD. Can you tell us how close you guys are to the launch, and also how are the finances going in a bear market? Are you guys surviving?
Yeah, we've been getting that one a lot. So I was actually talking about this link one in probably Axo Discord probably about like 30 minutes ago, maybe an hour ago. And yeah, that's one that comes up a lot. So first of all, we're hoping to reach testnet for the crypto to crypto, the core lending protocol, January 16th or 17th of next year. So really soon. Right now we had a meeting today about how we're going to roll it out to make sure it's the best user experience. And yeah, it's so far, nothing tells me that it's going to get delayed. We're getting like weekly updates from that you've seen like in the tech updates that we do every Monday. And so far, it doesn't seem like everything's off-piste right now, so that's good. As far as like our runway, again, like we raised, I think, more cash than most projects did. I mean, I think Ken's he's an experienced entrepreneur, and like he was able to leverage a lot of connections. We were able to raise a lot of cash in the private sale, so I think we have a bigger war chest than most projects do. Also, we've obviously made some mistakes in like trying to like time what was the best to develop first. You saw we did the alpha of Akamon, the bridge product, but into a bear market, you really need to like focus on your core offering and make sure like that's what, basically what the core of the white paper was, right? And so obviously like we didn't think it was like the most financially strategic way to go about things by trying to make sure everything else was in place first by making the place fertile for your core offering, right? It was like we had to, change things around. And I think we did it diligently and quickly enough. And we still have a lot of runway, thankfully. I think we've all gone over like the whole Ardana Orbis thing. And I think, like I tell people, I'm sympathetic to Ryan's situation, only because like I think from what it sounds like, Orbis was trying to kill two birds with one stone. They wanted to solve their own problems, like with the limits of Cardano, and be able to create zero knowledge in a roll-up for everybody else to use, right? So one that solved their problems and something that everybody else could leverage, right, for the sake of the ecosystem. Like I've been saying, like ETH has basically been solving its scaling problems by throwing roll-ups and sidechains and everything, right? So And I mean, state channels are great, but they're a different tool for different things, where sometimes a rollup would be better suited, right? So the problem was, though, it turns out that, like, I want to say I'm using the taxonomy I'm using is like, say, first generation projects. All of us right now have essentially been what I want to call first gen, like the first wave. You know, SundaeSwap, MELD, or basically anything that's running right now, like MuesliSwap, and of course Cardano was in that cohort as well. And from the sounds of it, from that other space, it seems like they're burning up a lot of cash making Orbis. And well, I think we got really far with Akamon. I think it's a wise decision to pivot back to our core offering, because that's exactly what we sold people on. And like I say, thankfully, because of Ken's experience with the projects in having a network, we have I think a substantially bigger war chest than most. So we're still good for a while. We still got a lot of runway, thankfully. So, and yeah, but we need to placate people, because a lot of people are like, oh, it's like it's a bear market. We've seen one of the bigger projects go down. And yes, we absolutely agree. But yes, we have cash money, let's say. So I want to say we're in a better position than a lot of other people. So, but I don't know what their bank balances look like. So I'm just saying we're all right for a while.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
We have thank you, Hosky, as well. We have a community question from Lido Nation. Lido Nation, go ahead.
Thanks for having me. I was trying to remember how much you guys raised with the ISPO. I think it was at least 10 million, something around there. Do you happen to know that number, or
I think the last I saw, I don't remember exactly what it was. I thought it was somewhere just north of 6 million. I remember someone in one of our Telegram groups actually ran a script and everything. I was able to determine what everybody was owed based on delegation for the ISPO, like how much MELD they were earned, and also how much ADA we had earned cumulatively from all the pools. I have to go back and ask someone in tech. I thought it was slightly over 6 million, but don't quote me on that exactly. But all of it got earmarked and is still earmarked for to basically kickstart the MELD Foundation. So basically our version of Cardano Foundation's treasury. So we made a post back in February about that.
That's a great tangent, because that was actually my question.
None of it. Everybody thinks it was sold, because ADA was back at the height of the ISPO. ADA was 10 times what it's worth right now, and there's over $1 billion worth of ADA delegated across all of our stake pools in total. So it was an enormous amount of ADA in terms of value delegated to our stake pools. But I think right now, I think it's over 6 million. It is in one. It's 10 million. Sorry, I've got one of my friends actually DMing me right now, trying to clarify things on the on some of the numbers here. But basically, yeah, we made a post back in February about the MELD Foundation, and all that ADA is earmarked for the MELD Foundation treasury. Because you can't just have MELD in you need ADA to be able to do things practically on this ecosystem, right? So, yeah.
So yeah, just to finish up that comment. Yeah. So it sounds like a lot of it is for the foundation, because I think one of the things that came out recently with the shakeup in DeFi is just how much things cost, right?
Yep.
And I think DC Spark was saying all the stuff they've built has been done for well under that amount. But it sounds like with the funding that you guys have received, a lot of it, some of it's going to development. Is the stuff that has been earmarked off, is that all the stuff that's on your roadmap? And then the rest is for the foundation, or are you?
I'm pretty sure none of the ADA we raised has been used for any development whatsoever, as far as I know. I'm pretty sure all of it has been earmarked for the foundation. Wow. I'm almost positive. Yeah.
And thank you, Lido Nation, for your questions. Matt, thank you greatly for being here. Good seeing you again. And next up, we have Damon Zwarch from Charlie, the enigmatic Damon. Damon, how's it going today? Tell us about Charlie, your products, and how people engage with the Charlie products you have out there.
Hi. Sorry for my horrible voice today. I've been talking a lot to different people over the last few days. So bear with me. So Charlie 3 is a Oracle solution built natively for Cardano. I'm sure many of you know what oracles are, but for those that you don't, basically we're able to grab secure data from from the real world and put it on chain, or on chain data, and make it more reliable for people too, for different arbitraging. Or the next product we have is for verifying different sets of data to make sure that nobody is cheating, basically, in the way that I'll put it. We were able to launch our first data feeds, which was just the ADA to USD feed, in October at Rare Bloom. So we're really, really excited about that. That was a year and a half of building through many problems. At the beginning, we had lots of attacks from different Oracle projects, different chains specifically. I won't really name anybody. Through the summit of last year, we had more attacks from another larger Oracle project. And then obviously the market started crashing, and Cardano development did not go to plan for anybody, and that affected us big time as well. Then we also had a full product ready in May-ish, but obviously with the Vasil features, it had to be refactored. So that was another challenge and a hurdle we had to overcome, and we were able to manage it and get a product out, or an MVP out at least, in October. And my suggestion and advice for people, as well as what Indigo said earlier, is just get from Eric said from Indigo, is just get your MVP out, and go from there. Half of this ecosystem is built on trust, and how can you build that trust without a fully working product? Well, you get something out there to show that it's there. I mean, we, as you know, Rick, because you're the one that found it, and we've talked about it plenty, but right after last year's hard fork, we put up the first working code from a project on mainnet, just showing the ADA USD feed from a single node point, just to show, hey, we can do something. And that actually did garner quite a lot of interest from other people, including IO and other factors. And now we actually have that full decentralized node network running with a 5-point aggregation to manage that process. And currently we're working on implementing a lot of the Vasil features into our code base, and running or creating Oracle standards CIP. So that's kind of where we're at as far as getting integrations up. We want to make sure that we have a datum standard for everybody to use, so it's easier to integrate, and we're not having to create extremely custom solutions for everybody, because that's just way too much development time. And then we'll get going. I think I've talked to Patrick plenty of times from EndMaker for having the potential first integration. Obviously, people knew that we were meant to integrate with Indigo for their launch. However, things were just not quite there on our side yet for their needs, but it's still working towards that goal. Obviously, like Eric said, their system is a little bit complex, and how they're doing IUSD is different as well, but we're working on that. And our next big project or service that we're dealing with is what we're calling ODVs, on-demand validation, which is an off-chain validator for basically giving a check mark of approval to different types of things. We're working with Atala Prism and Book.io and Maker, 8OW, Summon, Lido Nation is in here as well, and Student Reader, to create this student scholarship payout platform. And the way that Oracle pops into that with the ODV product is validating that student ID and course verification, course completions, or grade verifications to be able to pay out a person's a student's scholarship. But this product can work in many different ways. Anything that you need that's an instant validation for a payer play out in a game, or in the fact of, we've been talking to our last speaker here, MELD. I haven't actually met you yet, Matt, so maybe we should get on that. But talking to the rest of your team is doing this product with MELD's interface for liquidations on their platform and other things. So trying to architect that one out and get it ready for mainnet. Obviously, they have their testnet coming up. Well, they'll have your own in-house solution to make sure everything goes well, and then work on doing this. The same thing happens the same product can be used for many different things. We've talked about using it in manufacturing and shipping and retail retail sales, to keep track of everything that's being sold or shipped in different areas, because it's, like I said, it's an on-demand situation. So we're really excited about that product because it can be used so much more flexibly, and it's far more versatile than just the general price feeds. But we do have the price feeds continuing to grow up, and right now we have our fully funded, subsidized by Charlie 3 feed of ADA USD. That is a 1 hour heartbeat on that. And yeah, for once we get integrations going, it'll just be up for whoever wants it. Again, fully subsidized by us. The next 2 feeds that'll go up, also fully subsidized at a 1 hour heartbeat, are the Ethereum ADA price and the Bitcoin ADA price for whoever wants them. Past that, we'll have a lot of past that, there's a lot of interest for using our price feeds for more unique data sets. Say like the Goats NFT project that are going to be creating their own NFT platform. They want to use the Grass token, their native token, or their project token to deal with that. And that'll be an upfront cost, obviously. So we'll have to, each one of those will be dependent based on the heartbeat you want, how many node operators you want, all that. And initially, it'll just be an integration cost, to help us, pay our dev time that is needed to integrate these feeds with everybody. But eventually, we will have a full dev portal up where all the SDKs will be right there. All the documentation is set. Your calculator is set for how many nodes you want, what price feeds, what heartbeat, and here's your price. Implement, go. Should be quite easy to manage in the future. So we had a Catalyst proposal from that in Fund 8, which we won, which was very nice, and we'll be continuing to build that out as we go. The most recent updates that we'll have going up is our new roadmap and brand new branding per se. It's still the same logo, still the same name, but completely new look and new website that'll be going out with our updated team list and, like I said, roadmap and tokenomics. For those wondering, how do you change tokenomics after a launch? Well, certain things can change. Our initial set of tokenomics when we launched had ideas for how the business model would run based on old architecture of Cardano, and that's not true anymore. So we had like 34% to node operators, I think, but we don't pay out those anymore. It's the project to pay out the node operators with the payment to the Oracle. So we no longer have to do that. So where we're refactoring that 34% is mainly into development. We're actually giving less to the team than is in our original set for 20%. I think we're lowering it by 5%. Just to show, good faith to other people that we're, not keeping too much. And then putting that towards staking operations, which we never planned to do. Well, staking, farming, and other operations that we're managing. So that's something we never planned to manage, but thought it's a good thing to do for people that have been holding with us for so long. And I guess the last question that comes up about 10 zillion times per day is this bridge that they want us to build from the Ethereum side where we launched the token. Now, yes, that was an unfortunate situation with the Nomad hack that happened in the summer. But as other members on here have previously stated, we just have to focus on our main products. If we divert our attentions towards building a bridge, which doesn't do anything for us except for waste our current time, then it's just not prudent. It'll take away from us having a main product and staying alive and actually making a revenue source. Oracles are very different from all these other platforms that are talking. The wallets, the banking platforms, trading platforms all have user interfaces, and retail users. With them, it's easier to build that community. You can have people using them right away. For us being a B2B solution, we're not really seeing that much. Only the projects will be using us. Those are the customers that we have. So it's much smaller. It's much more intense, and how we have to stay out there. So always trying to come up with new ways to be seen and build a community around something that has no user interface. And then the last thing is just oracles tend to build further in a bear market. The people that tend to survive are still here, and they'll start implementing our services in this bear market as they continue to build their services as well. And that's always great for ecosystem trust and project trust, and for us to keep building our products out and serving the community. So
awesome.
There we go.
Thank you, Damon. Very thorough description. Much appreciated. I'm going to switch over to, we have 5 minutes for questions. We'll take Hosky, and then we'll get a community question from Lido Nation.
You mentioned implementing services. You mentioned, I believe, goats and their grass token. Do you guys have any other projects that you guys are actively in talks with to develop or to use the Oracle services?
Yeah, lots. I put up if you guys are able to look at the presentation that I did on Oracles at the summit last weekend, there's a whole list there that's typically not a public list, but I think there's about 30 names on that list. So, go check that one out. But obviously, Indigo, the Grass Token, ADAO, Summon Platform, Drunken Dragons, MELD, as I just mentioned there. Who else? Optum Finance. There's a lot. So go check out that list. There's also a list on our website, but I wouldn't go off of that one. It's not accurate anymore. So if you want the full list, go check out that presentation from the summit. You can go to the summit website, look at day 2, and scroll down to my presentation on oracles and say watch now, and it's near the end.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Damon. Lido Nation, your question.
Couple of quick question. One, so Catalyst provided, I think, $100K total to subsidize feed. Was that not enough? You had to dip into your own funds?
No, we're using that, but
Okay.
we're also matching them. So we're using the 100K from Catalyst and the 100K from Charlie 3. So to make it go longer. So right now we can run 5 full set feeds for about a year and a half with that current runway for just those feeds, and we're not using that. It's in a completely separate wallet, and it's only being used for keeping the feed running, just so people can see that transparency that we're not using it for other reasons.
Super cool. Then the other question, I was looking at your monthly reports for the developer portal. I think Catalyst has this new rule now where you have to show proof. I wasn't seeing anything from you guys in ways of links or pictures or anything like that.
Yeah, so that's a good point. We'll have that up. I think we have our first mock-ups of what we've been building this week, so that should be in the next report that we push forward. Right now, it's mainly just been documentation and building the SDK out. So now we're gonna try and implement it in the front end. We had a little bit of a hiccup with our front end developers, and it took us a little bit longer to find somebody new than we were anticipating. So unfortunate delays on that side.
Great. Looking forward to the portal. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lido Nation, and Damon as well. Next, we have Emurgo and Astarter. If Astarter's here, I'm checking to see who's here for Astarter. We do have Tyler from Emurgo, so I'm going to shift over to Tyler if you're ready to get started. And when I find who I have from Astarter, we'll roll on with them as well. Tyler, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Hi, Rick. Thanks for having me. And thank you, MuesliSwap, for putting this all together. It's amazing that we've been basically building DeFi products for the last year and have been live. And the thing is that we're still super early in DeFi and Cardano, and how much we've grown this year. It's probably going to be 10 times or 100 times over the next year, how much we grow, as we have new products like more lending protocols, stable coins, et cetera, all come up. So I'm super excited about all of that. What I kind of want to talk about today is what I'm working on with Emurgo. I'm the FinTech community lead. And the main project that I've been focusing on with our team, with the FinTech team at Emurgo, is the stablecoin USDA, which is a fiat-backed stablecoin that we intend to launch mid Q1 next year. So super excited about that. That's going to be totally fiat-backed. It'll be regulated, completely transparent. There'll be proof of reserves. And there'll be a custodian that holds those reserves it'll be a financial institution that's regulated. How you actually mint is going to be interesting. We're going to be doing that through a platform called the Anzens platform. That's going to be anzens.com is the landing page. And anyone that wants to mint through Anzens, mint USDA, would do so. First, there would have to be a U.S. resident initially. That's where we're going to be compliant. And when we first launch in Q1, you have to go through a KYC process, be a U.S. resident, and you'll be able to mint with either ADA, credit card, ACH, or wire transfer from your bank account. We want the Anzens platform to be sort of a bridge between traditional finance and DeFi applications. So if you do want to kind of go back and forth, you'll be able to do that with the Anzens platform. One of the things that we've noticed at Emurgo is that if you're a blockchain company and you actually do want to run a business on chain, it's really difficult to do so without a stable coin. It's also really difficult just to open up a bank account. I'm sure many of you today can have gone through that pain of trying to open up a bank account as a business that operates in the blockchain space or in the cryptocurrency space. So that's one of the core problems we want to solve, is this: we want to have that infrastructure there so that if you do want to develop products in the cryptocurrency space, you can do so in a regulated way, in a way with the financial tools that allows you to thrive and flourish. The second thing is that DeFi, it's really hard to kind of grow the DeFi ecosystem without a stablecoin. And that's one of the reasons why we probably haven't seen the TVL numbers like Ethereum or these other blockchains that exist, is because we never have a stablecoin to either lend against, to trade with. If you look at Uniswap, actually, the biggest trading pair on Uniswap, the largest pool, is actually a fiat-backed stable. It's USDC paired with DAI, which is a crypto collateralized stablecoin, which is crazy. But that's in even the top 10. I think it's like 4 out of the top 10 are also the same pattern, where you have a fiat-backed that's paired with another crypto collateralized stablecoin. So one of the things that we also believe is that we don't look at different algorithmic stablecoins or different crypto collateralized stablecoins as competitions. We think that there's going to be different use cases for different stablecoins out there. And we think as we come to market with projects like IUSD, with projects like JED and Shen, we're all going to help everyone grow together. A rising tide raises all ships, so to speak. So I think that's it for on the USDA side, to kind of summarize what we've been working on. The other side of what I've been working on is Yoroi itself. We've been doing a lot of improvements with Yoroi, and we will have it's basically going to be totally rebuilt, and the first iteration of that rebuild is set to go live in the first or second week of December, depending on when the Chrome, when the App Store accepts it and everything goes live. We're basically just waiting on that process right now. So if Astarter is here, I'm happy to pass the mic to the Astarter folks to share what they're working on too.
Sure. Thank you, Tyler. Amazing updates. Greatly appreciated. Astarter, welcome and happy anniversary of DeFi going on here. And please tell us what you got.
Hey, Rick. Thanks for getting a spot for us. It's really great to be here at the birthday. MuesliSwap launched 1 year ago. So that was the start of DeFi on Cardano, right? That's fantastic. And to hear from SundaeSwap and Indigo and Husky and Eternl and of course Charlie 3 and anyone else who I might have missed. I've been listening all through. It's great to hear from all the projects that have been building and developing over the years and still building. Unfortunately, there's been some that have fallen off on the way, as we were talking to over the weekend, right, Rick? But, for those of us that are here still building and still developing in this ecosystem, getting more familiar with Cardano development and bringing products to market, it's great to hear. And that new development from Emurgo, the announcement of the USDA, and to hear how that can integrate with, on the platform that there'll be stable swaps. And I was reading there'll be a credit card there to be able to use stable coins. So there's lots of development coming in the future, which really looking forward to. Astarter, DeFi infrastructure, a hub on Cardano. We are backed by Emurgo, and we've been developing hard in the background. We did get an MPV out, MVP, a minimal viable product on the testnet pre-Vasil, and we brought in. It was back in April. We had some 6,000 beta testers that came into the ecosystem, set up testnet wallets, and those guys, we incentivized those guys to come in and beta test the product. There's a lot of participants on the Cardano side as well, but yeah, we incentivized over on the a NFT platform on the Binance Smart Chain, some 6,000 participants in that open beta using that, testing our launchpad. That's enabled us to analyze all the feedback and enhance that product. And with market conditions, initially, Rick, you probably recall we talked about the IDO and the launchpad. We are still very much focused on IDO as a method of fundraising for projects coming into the ecosystem, but we also had that exploration of ISBOs to learn more about ISBOs and how they can be leveraged as a fundraising mechanism, not only for a startup, but also for the projects that we're bringing into the ecosystem. So we've developed, in addition to the launchpad, we now have a launch pool that we're bringing into the ecosystem to have to enable projects to raise funding through ISPO. And we've developed a two-stage ISPO. So we have, and largely listening to a lot of the contributions that you made, Rick, during that exploration, which I think was back in March time. When we first started that, we were talking about the different types of ISPO, the fundraising ISPO, the marketing / token distribution ISPO. So we've now have this two-stage ISPO where we have a moderate fundraise for Astarter, and we're developing the launch pool for that so that other projects can benefit from our research and innovation in that area to be able to raise for their projects. So we set up a 99% margin pool for that, which has a modest 500 AA token allocation for that first stage. And then in the second stage, and we developed a framework for merge staking protocol rewards. We've recently published that article where we want to be able to have, and we already have some partner pools, community state pools set up where delegators to those pools are incentivized to come and try the Astarter DeFi infrastructure, participate in our ecosystem, that is the DeFi ecosystem, through generating points with it, staking and generating points within our launch pad, or whether that's providing liquidity through a liquidity pool or any other aspects of staking that might be within our ecosystem, and be rewarded for that from our ecosystem allocation for that participation. So we already have a number of partner and associate stake pools for that. Very interested in the use of the stake key for that as well, so that if people are staking their ADA within our system, as what Indigo was talking about earlier, where you're able to put your ADA into the collateralized for the stable coin, and then the stake key can still be earning staking rewards through the stake pool of the user's choice. So very interested in that innovation. I know that Wing Riders has also put some information out about that. So how we could use that with the merge staking protocol in the future will be very interesting. For now, we've developed a snapshot method where we snapshot and analyze all that data for calculating the rewards. That's quite resource intensive, so we're starting with a limited number of stake pools in that second stage, the merge staking protocol. We've also got our DEX, the Astarter Decentralized Exchange, ADEX development in closed beta, so very much looking forward to the open beta of that very soon. So following the space closely, specifically right now on stable swaps, because there's a lot of stable coins, and I think, as Tyler was saying, the more the merrier. You know, I liken it to if there's a street of restaurants, you'll have other restaurants that will open up in the same street, and it'll be the busy restaurants where people will go to eat, and there will be the one, you know, that you can see the busy restaurants as to where. So Cardano DeFi Street, I think, is looking very healthy. You see all these different stable coins coming up, all these different DEXs, and all the development that's taking place during a bear market as well. So imagine what it's going to be like during the next bull run. Very exciting times. It's really great to hear from everybody. Absolutely happy birthday, DeFi on Cardano.
Fantastic. Thanks. And so I'm going to roll over to the question part now.
Mm-hmm.
Take questions for Emurgo. Let's start with Emurgo and Matt, and he spoke to the USDA stablecoin itself and also upgraded features to Roy. Hosky, feel free to ask some questions here, and I'll bring up any people from the audience who would like to also ask questions. Hosky, go for it.
Sure. So super happy to hear that Noroi is getting an upgrade, so we can finally call it Yoroi again. So that is super exciting. So one question about the USDA. In this case, will the group backing the USDA be like a trust style company, or will you guys be holding the assets?
Yeah, thanks for the question. It would be a trust sort of company, exactly. So we wouldn't be holding the assets. The assets would be converted to US dollar to fiat, whether if you were converting ADA, and then that would be held by a custodian. It is a trust, essentially.
Perfect. That's the only question I had.
Okay, thanks. And following up on Hosky's question, Tyler, I'd like to ask, what kind of hurdles did you run into with regulators? Did they give you any pushback? And is there anything the community can do to make sure they let their elected representatives know that this is a good thing and that we want this?
Given the current climate with FTX and everything that's going down, there's a lot of misunderstanding between what blockchain is as a technology and what bad actors are, essentially. And I think a lot of mainstream looks at SBF and they look at what happened with FTX, and they kind of say cryptocurrency is bad or blockchain is bad, and that's just not the case. So I think for anyone that wants to actively help, definitely reach out to your local representatives and let them know that blockchain technology itself, cryptocurrency itself, is an empowering technology that brings more transparency, more trust, and more empowerment to individuals. Closed corporations that act with little transparency in the cryptocurrency space, that isn't the same thing as actual blockchain and cryptocurrency itself, which is the technology. So that's kind of like the first part of that question. The second part is what kind of hurdles did we run into specifically? And that's something that's tough because it's a stable coin. Getting past regulatory hurdles is difficult. What we've been sure to do is make sure that we have positive legal opinions on whichever region we're working in, and ensuring that we're working with the custodian partner who has also gone through that process of acting in a compliant way. In addition, when we do launch, everything will be transparent. If anyone wants to see how many funds or how much actual fiat is backing the actual tokens or native assets on Chain and Cardano, that information would always be available. And but at the same time, we are essentially working with a centralized entity to do this. It's similar to USDC or any other sort of fiat-backed stablecoin where it requires some trust in an entity to hold those deposits. And there's no way around that with a fiat-backed stablecoin.
Awesome. Thank you. And also understood. Thank you, Tyler. All right. Yep. For Astarter, Hosky, you got any questions for Astarter as well?
I do not. Do you have any questions for Astarter, Rick?
Yes. How will people engage with your products? On your website, you can have the website up and available for people to engage. Is it going to be available on testnet again? And what are those primary products people should be looking for? Oops, mic check. Can you hear me okay, Hosky?
Yep, you're there.
It looks like Astarter's on mute still if they're trying to speak. Heads up, Astarter.
Yep, and we will be finishing up very shortly. So if there's any technical difficulty on that end, that's fine. So we are coming to a close here. The time is ending, and I appreciate everyone attending and providing all this information. I'm going to check in with Vanja and see if we've covered everything that we wanted to hit this afternoon. Vanja, what do you think, buddy?
Yeah, this was absolutely fantastic. I'm blown away by the amount of people that joined us today and all the information that was shared. It's really, truly fantastic. As far as I'm concerned, so I also wrote to you briefly on Telegram, we can keep this space going on for a little bit longer. So we do still have a few of the projects here. I also understand that the space was really packed in order to accommodate all the projects and stuff. And we really attempted to give everyone a respectful amount of time, but also not keep projects from waiting too long. But what this means is that I understand if there's maybe a few other questions still left in the air for some of the projects. So as far as I'm concerned, we could potentially open up the floor for 2 or 3 more questions from the audience for pretty much anyone that is still here as a speaker, if that's fine with everyone here. Otherwise, maybe a few more questions about MuesliSwap, and we call it a day.
Sounds like a plan. Sounds good. All right. Anyone in the audience that has a question, we have Eternl, MELD, Emurgo, MuesliSwap, all still here up on stage. So let me know if you got questions. Just hit request and we'll bring you up.
Well, if I may actually have an open question to this forum.
Go for it.
Well, we kind of touched on on a touchy subject of regulation, right? And I'm actually interested in the panel's opinion in light of the recent European regulatory framework. I believe it's called MiCA, and the upcoming U.S. regulatory framework, and basically all of those frameworks that's coming to the world. When it comes to decentralized DeFi protocols, what you guys think are going to be our challenges in this space, with handling that kind of regulatory compliance issues? Thank you. And it's an open question, so if someone wants to answer, I'll be happy to hear.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and lead off, get you guys thinking. My take on it is I would rather speak to elected officials voluntarily than be forced to speak to a regulator. Now, regulators are good and important because the regulators help. If a problem comes up, maybe they can help either resolve it or prevent them from happening in the first place, right? That's what regulators are doing or should be doing. In the case of FTX, maybe not so much. They were a little bit more focused on Kim Kardashian than FTX. Kind of weird. But it's better to speak to elected officials because the regulators are like a stick, okay? When something's wrong or something needs calibrated, that's the stick that's used to smack it and get it back on track. The elected officials are the hand and the brain that hold the stick. And laws do take a little while, but it's worth the patience. It's worth writing your elected officials. If you see that they are going off in a direction that you don't find amicable to crypto and amicable to your interests, writing a personal email to your elected officials is always helpful because the more of them they get, the more they hear it, the more interest they see, the more likely they're going to be supportive of DeFi and stablecoins and cryptocurrencies in general. Now, I think they got that message, but they need to continue to hear that message. So that's just my take on it. Anybody else's comments? I believe we also have a question. Someone stepped up from the audience, but what do you guys think?
I'd second that, Rick. I think that's very good. Communication with the regulators. Over here in the UK, the regulators put out consultation papers for the public to review and give feedback, and there will be forums where we can discuss and meet with regulators, and we had one of those recently where there was a number of exchanges joined. I joined, and we all got around and had a Zoom call and talked about regulation for a classification of crypto assets. So it's all about communication, following what the regulators are doing and getting involved and participating, much like we are here today on this Twitter space, right?
Yep, absolutely. All right. Anyone else to add on that? Matt, I see you popped your mic a couple times. We got Matt.
The other day, Senator Elizabeth Warren wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, and it was basically saying we need to regulate crypto or else. And she likened it to a whole bunch of other, issues like the subprime mortgage crisis in 2008. But it was just basically she was very vague. She said it would take down the entire financial system. Like, crypto has less than a 1 trillion market cap. It is absolutely dwarfed by fixed income and so many other asset classes. It won't have that kind of systemic risk. But Senator Warren's expecting most readers to not know that. Now, one could say prognosticating into the future becomes too big, and then these problems end up popping up when the market cap's much bigger. But it seems like this bear market's doing a good job of shaking out some of the less well-capitalized poor risk management CeFi, like CDFi, like Celsius and BlockFi and Voyager and God knows everybody else, FTX. It seems like the market is correcting, much to the pain of others, but it seems like existing regulation, for good or bad, well, for worse, didn't do anything to be able to prevent this, right? And I think some politicians are just playing to their base who might be like already reflexively anti-crypto. There's a lot of people in certain corners who, for whatever reason, don't like it because of its implications. Crypto implies freedom. It implies less centralized control. And certain people like centralized control. They like being able to exert their power over others, right? And certain elements of society like that more than others. And so I think we have to read between the leaves or read between the lines to see where certain politicians are going with this. And now you see like the new House Majority Whip, Representative Emmer, saying, putting Gary Gensler on blast, but apparently voted not to bring any sort of vote to get the SEC grilling FTX or anything. Like, sort of let them off the hook. So, water is wet and politicians speak out of both sides of their mouth. Now, I keep telling people this, that, at least in the case of the United States, most districts are not particularly competitive. The incumbency rate is north of 80%. A lot of districts are gerrymandered to crap, and a lot of politicians like it that way. Even if they're in a packed district, they like the fact that it's safe. They don't care that it's not competitive, or they deliberately got put in a district that basically consolidates all their votes and makes them less competitive broadly in the state. Some of them like that incumbency advantage. It's a cushy way of operating. It means you have very little chance of losing your job, right? And so, but in the places that are, it's just like sometimes these can come down to razor thin margins. And so you actually I like to tell Americans that you actually have a lot more power than you think, especially in competitive districts. It could take just one contingency of crypto-focused voters to basically switch a House seat. It's actually, some of them come down to just a couple of hundred votes. It's actually quite small. You look in Colorado's 3rd district where Lauren Boebert and that other guy, I'm not making an ethical or moral value on either of the candidates. I'm just saying it was an extremely close race. It came down less to 1,000 votes. There's a lot of crypto people in Colorado. And I mean, sometimes, you won't vote for someone who may seem ostensibly pro-crypto because you don't like the whole other, basket of values or positions they come with, and that's totally fine, understandable. But I'm saying is that there's a certain competitive districts, and there's a fair number of them where you have a lot more power than you think, but you need to be organized, right? And at the very least, if you can't make a candidate pro-crypto, you can hopefully put enough fear into them that they're not anti-crypto. Is just get them to back off. That's still a win, right? So consider it that way. At least give them enough reason to think twice about angering a constituency in their district that otherwise, if they switch to being anti-crypto, they risk losing their seat, right? So at least always keep the fire there to remind them that there's a constituency here that has interests that they like to defend. But it actually involves having political organization. That's difficult. But there are people out there who are actually trying to challenge the status quo, like January Walker, as we've all met and seen if you were at CNFTCon or Rare Bloom, she's going around. And I think the United States needs a third-party option that isn't exactly the libertarians, as I can go on about them and their serial unseriousness about any number of things. But I think they need a serious option in the middle. And so I don't want to be on this pulpit too long. I'm waxing more philosophically about this, but at the end of the day, legislators understand something that's very real to their existence, and that's poll numbers, right? So just keep that in mind, and just check previous get together groups of like-minded crypto people, and even if you can't support this candidate because you don't like all the other values, at least make it known that they might be leaving votes on the table. There's more than one way to skin a cat, right? So especially get together a bunch of crypto people in districts that are very competitive. Colorado's 3rd district is clearly one of those examples.
Thank you, Matt. Brilliant. All right, that wraps it up for the day. I appreciate everyone attending here. Huge shout out to all the Cardano DeFi platforms out there building: MuesliSwap, SundaeSwap, COTI Indigo, World Mobile, Eternl, MELD, Astarter, Charlie, and Emurgo. Thank you all for attending today. This has been fantastic. Vanja, I'll give the last word to you and we'll wrap it up. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Rick, so much. I will then pass on the last word to MuesliSwap and Chris because it is ultimately MuesliSwap's birthday, so maybe they should get the last word. So yeah, I would also like to say that I'm very grateful for everyone that took their time today to join us, to listen in, and for surely for the fact that we actually got to celebrate the first birthday of DeFi on Cardano today with all these incredible people. I also hope that this space cleared some misconceptions about Cardano, and also I would like to reiterate once more that this space will remain as a recording on Twitter, and also in the coming days we will be adding it to our YouTube channel so people can just go through it again. But also CryptoSlate, the media partner of the space today, they will also be doing a recap as an article for each of the projects on their website closely after this space ends. So we will of course be sharing this. And yeah, as far as I know, in the coming days, MuesliSwap will be sharing some little recaps and everything exciting that has happened in the past year on MuesliSwap, as well as some data and statistics. So there's going to be some fun news in the coming days and some fun information posts from the MuesliSwap team. And once more, thank you, everyone. This was really fantastic. I hope everyone enjoyed it. In the beginning, we needed a bit of to figure out our flow, but I think we found it by the end. And the information that was shared today was truly, truly fantastic. I believe that there's no one that can still say that this is a ghost chain after hearing this Twitter space. And yeah, thank you once more from my side. And I will pass it on to, I believe, Niels. Yes. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yes, exactly. First of all, thank you, Vanja, for hosting this space. Thank you, Rick, for moderating, and of course, all the projects that came, all the community members that came and listened and put their questions here. That was truly amazing to see. After all, it's only the first birthday of MuesliSwap and only 1 year of operation, and still we have this amazing community around us. I'm very certain that it will not be our last birthday, so I'm very looking forward to the coming year. And to all those who listened, make sure to follow MuesliSwap. We have a lot of stuff in the pipeline. We have, as I just said, the concentrate liquidity pools, but there's also some other things. We have tethered Pluto Bay, the potential lending protocols, and many more things that we are so eager to implement, and we want to contribute to this amazing ecosystem. So yes, thank you all for joining, and looking forward to, I mean, there will be more spaces in between, but the latest next birthday of MuesliSwap and Cardano DeFi. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you all for joining.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. Good night.
Pleasure.
Bye. Thank you.